Hi everyone, welcome to our final presentation about our fantastic product, Student. And here's our agenda for the product introduction part. Our version of the Student is to make renting an apartment a family's pleasure in your life. Before we get started to know about it, I'd like to introduce our amazing team members. They are Yixuan He, Cong Yushan, Bohan Zhang, Qin Yuzhou, and Zhou Xuan Huang. Firstly, I'd like to talk about the problems that many students are facing before they started the new study journey in a new place. We found it is really hard for New York students to find suitable apartments. Firstly, there are too many universities in the city of New York, and the demands for the apartments is super high. Secondly, although there are a lot of housing options for them, students do have their specific requirements. For example, the floor plans, the security, and more importantly, the distance to the school. Thirdly, after we searched and tried most of the renting products online by ourselves, we found most of these apps are actually super time consuming for students. After we can find apartments, we need to compare the distance on our own in Google Maps and try to know if it's a safe place by our own as well. In order to solve all of these problems, we provide several solutions. Firstly, we will create a student target apartment rental tool, which means we allow students to choose their universities on our product. Secondly, we will give them rental suggestions based on the university they entered, the expected distance, combined with the number of bedrooms. Thirdly, our products will be very time-saving since we will automatically consider the safety of the students. We will illustrate this idea more clearly later in this presentation. Well, as we mentioned a lot of times before, the target customer for our product is a New York students, and for the market of our products is actually super huge because based on our research, there are over 20 million people in New York, and 37.5% of them are college students. And besides that, there are more than 40 very famous universities in New York. And if we count all of the universities, the number will be very huge as even more than 100. So next, we will look at our business models. The first part is like how we gain profit by our products. We basically separate it by two parts. The first one is by the advertising. This is to say, if the apartments company want to advertise their houses on our app, they will need to pay us an advertising fee. Secondly, students who want to use this product need to pay a $5.99 annual membership fee. And we believe that it is not so much compared to the similar products. We also have our first year average order value calculator formula below. The estimate advertisement fee is 10K, and the estimate user member is 1,000 users. So in total, the profit we gain from the customer is 1,000 times 5.99 plus the advertisement fee, which is 10,000, and we divide it by the total number of user, which is 1,000, and we can get a $15.99 per order. Next, we will talk about the competition we face by our products. As we all know, there are many existing rental apps and websites such as Zillow, Apartments.com, and Airbnb. However, there are some very obvious drawbacks of these websites. Firstly, it provides too much information for the customer. Many of them are advertisement or not relevant to the students. So it will waste a lot of time for the students. Besides that, those websites are designed for the whole people who want to find an apartment. So it doesn't have a very clear target as our product did. Last part is our go-to-market strategy. We plan to gain customer acquisition by broadcasting our products on social media, such as Instagram, Facebook, or WeChat groups. We also plan to use the chat box to interact with the students to know their needs well. For example, we allow the students to tap in their university, to tap in the estimated bedrooms, and to tap in the expected distance from the university. The key drivers of the student is that the whole page will be very straightforward and very clear. Students won't be confused by any parts of it. We also plan to adjust our content in the future by knowing more about the New York students' needs. Our potential milestones will be reaching 500 monthly website visitors to our company's app in the first year, and we will also provide more resources for students in other cities, even the whole United States region. Next, we will go to our main content of the student. The main content meaning separated by 4 parts. The first one is the apartment data, which will be introduced by Zhe Xuan, and the second one will be the university data, which will be introduced by Tong Yu. The third one will be crime data analytics, which will be introduced by Qin Yu, and the last one will be geographic and calculation, which will be introduced by Bo Han.
So in order to build up our dataset, we use rentable apartment data and their information as our basis, and we'll add more variable and features based on that. To extract the information of current available apartments in New York City, we use web scraping to scrape the real-time apartment data from RentHop website. The website interface is shown as a graph, and we use Beautiful Soup to extract raw data from HTML file. So to be specific, we extract the apartment room types, name, address, neighborhood, information, bedroom number, bathroom number, price. And since their university is allocated in all districts, we also scraped the data from all different districts, including Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens. So the primary data frame we created after cleaning is shown like this. And now, after having a basic data set, we also ran some data analysis. As we can see here, the price, which is what everybody care most about, has a distribution of right skilled. And this is actually totally plausible, since apartment with relatively low price would have a larger demand and have many availables. So also to go deeper, we also run a 3D analysis. And in this graph, we first separate our data with 4 different districts. And within each cluster of the data, we see the relation between bedroom numbers and price. The 4 different districts, 0, 1, 2, 3, are corresponding to the districts which are Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan. And that's what we can see that the Manhattan district has the most amount of data. And as we see all 4 color of distribution, the apartment with 2 bedrooms are the most popular. And we can also see that the diversity of the apartment is significant in Manhattan districts. Now, in the next part, my colleagues would add features to this dataset and make our recommendation system more complete.
In this part, we provide our clients with a list of universities to select according to specific university number by Python libraries like pandas, request, etc. And then we utilize read HTML function to describe names of university from the website, and then it returns a list of pandas data frame and fetch data by selecting and indexing.
Hi. So in order for us to get the New York City's crime score for each district, we firstly need to do the web crawling of a open resource website, including all the crime data. And then we kind of sort out of this data based on the characters like life of crimes, as you can see here, and suspect age, the victim's age for each district, and then we get the sum up number for that based on each characters, and then we will have the New York City's crime score, the logic of our scoring standards behind. As you can see here, for example, the life of crimes, felony, which has been ranked the highest life of a crime, there will be assigned 5 for the lowest one. Violation, there will be only assigned 1. For suspect age and the victim's age, as you guys know, the majority of the population in the university, I mean, especially for students, age between 18 to 24. Some of them are like 25 to 44. especially for those, PhD students or master students. So that's why those two groups will be assigned the higher score compared to other age group like the age smaller than 18 or 65 plus. And for the left-hand side, it will show the district crime scores. On the recommendation process, those score will be attached with the apartment recommendation to just let our customer have a better idea if their apartment are safe enough. I think that's all for the New York City's crimes score.
Hi, please allow me to introduce the last two parts of our final project. This part is about location distance. So step 1, in order to get longitude and latitude for all locations, which means universities and houses, we scrap our Google Map. For the universities, we simply use its name, and for the houses, we use its name and neighborhood. The only thing here is that when you scrap on Google Map, you can only scrap for 150 lines, and then you will be blocked. So in order to get our final data, we scrap for several times, and then we combine the data together. And then for step 2, you want to calculate the distance. It's actually quite easy. You only need to use some simple trigonometric function calculation to get the result. Here we assume that the radius of our Earth is 6,371 kilometers. Now you may notice we also include crime score into the distance. So how do we do that? In the last slide, we have the crime score. And in this part, we first calculate the mean of the crime score, and we use this mean divided by each crime score. And then we get our safety score, which is a number that is around 1. It's either higher than 1 or lower than 1. But the higher, the safer. And then when you calculate the distance, you use this distance divided by the safety score, and you get your final distance. This may sound complicated, so let me give you an example. Let's say you want a house that is 4.5 kilometers away from the school, within. Now you have this house that is 4 kilometers away from your university. However, the safety score of this house is 0.8. So you use 4 divided by 0.8 and you get 5. And we think that this is the actual distance. So 5 is larger than 4.5, which means we are not going to show this house in the final result. The reason we do that is because we think that for houses that are safe, we would show it to you even if it's a bit further than you expected. And for houses that are not safe, we are going to be very strict with the distance. And then for the last part, the final result, as you can see, instead of showing you all the results, we actually use k-means to group them. The reason is that we think this will save your time. Because when you try to rent a house, you normally check two things: the house itself and its surroundings. For example, its transportation, its restaurants around, stuff like that. So what we do here is that when you check the house and the surroundings, after you check the first one in a group, for the rest of houses in this group, you don't need to check the surroundings again, because they are all around the same area because of the k-means. So we believe that if you follow our order to check the houses one by one, this will greatly save your time. For example, let's say if you go to group 2 and you check the first house, and now you realize that you do not like the surrounding, then the whole group, you don't need to check this anymore. You can go straight to group 3. And this is really, saves your time. And basically that's all. Thanks.